Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so it should be recording now, should be screen sharing now. So I wanted to do a demo of this at some point, and now's as good a time as any. I've been working on a template project for Bamboo Specs that we can use as a launching point. So if you wanted to clone it, you can. It's in Git, and I'll send a link around for everyone for that. Some of the stuff. Ultimately, what you do is you clone this project, and I got a README in here, so let me go ahead and just show that as well. So the idea is that you clone this project, CD into that directory, and I ask that you check out a branch. Just I should do this. I don't know if I have the master branch disabled so that people don't accidentally push anything to master. So the idea is that create your branch. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. What I want to do here is I'm going to actually do like a live demo of it. And I didn't rehearse this, so we'll see how I do. But let's see. So I'm going to do a git checkout, and I'm going to call my branch. I'm going to do my Nginx proxy. So I'm going to call it that. Oops. And so now I'm on my proxy branch, and now I'm going to, I've already got this environments variable, so let me go ahead and remove that. .env, and I'll go ahead and run this copy here. So I get a fresh one. I'm not going to do it in VI. I'm going to do it right here in VS Code. The idea is that you come in here and you say, my project, you can fill in all these variables, and when you run the script that's in here in the README, it's just going to be sh replace. It's going to give you all of your Bamboo specs for you and get you prepared. I'm also using this as kind of my launching point for some of the best practices that I'm learning, and any new tips and tips for the getting things done easier and better. So so my Nginx proxy, and I've got it open here, is a separate project, a small little project. It's currently in the API project, so I'm going to put it there, and I can give it any that's the project key, the build key. I can give it any build key I want. I'll say Nginx. I'll assume that that's maybe I should double check that that's not taken. I'll assume it's not taken. Oh, I better double check. Let's hop in there, go into API. And I don't know where the proxy's at now. Anyway. I think it was an API. Now I'm actually not even sure where I've got this project. 1 second. Let me just double check. Nginx proxy. Yeah, that's an API project. Okay. Oh, you know what? We never even set up a build for it. So this is a brand new build entirely. Okay, so that's fine. So it's not taken. So I go back into here. I'll say Nginx for my build key. I can give it any build name I want. So I'm going to go ahead and call this Nginx proxy spec, just for clarity. And I've been getting in the habit of naming my builds and deploys the exact same thing. I'm very uncreative. So just Nginx proxy spec. There's a field here for primary user. You can always add more users, but I set up the templates just so it'll pre-populate with one user. So just put in your user account there. Your compose file that's going to be used for the build process. I default it here to the CI build file. And then a stack name. So in this case, this one's stack is Nginx proxy. I better double check that just to make sure. So I'll go hop in Portainer and just verify what the stack is currently. So this guy is deployed in UIZ. So this out. Nginx proxy is just nginx underscore proxy. So that's good. Nginx underscore proxy. So I'm going to be replacing that. In this case, the service name that you have for that. And in this case, the service name is just proxy. So that's easy enough. We'll call that proxy. Port, if there is one, I believe this is probably running on port 80. Let me double check. Yeah, 80. Okay. So put that in there. And like I said, this is running in UIZ. And then I have some traffic host setups here. So I know that this doesn't have an integration URL, but let me go ahead and go over here. It's got two rules defined. One is going to be the production rule. So I'll put that in here in the production rule. And then there's a dev rule here. And I'm going to just copy this and put this in the stage, and I'll have to rename that. And this one it's not using that, so I'll just say delete me for now. I've set up secrets here, so in case anybody wants to utilize secrets. I realized actually the other day that I should probably put in a config here if somebody wants to utilize config. But this, you can always delete these, but this is going to pre-populate some values there for secrets if you want to use it. I don't think that this has any secrets now, so that's fine. So I can go ahead and run this now. So let's say I go back to README. It's just okay, I'm done. So just sh replace.sh. So we run that, and being that I'm in a branch and it's all in source control, I can check this out and I can see what just happened. So it stubbed out a Docker Compose for me. I can use this, or I can just utilize my own. But you can see in here, it pre-populated some information, which is also going to be helpful. I've stubbed in a DTR path, and I've gone with the convention of going with the stack name underscore service name, so that it is modeled and matches what's in Docker Swarm. So your services that are going to be in DTR will match exactly how they are deployed in Swarm if you go with this convention. There's a compose file, just replace that. The stack file, same things, just updated some of the host rules in there. So again, you don't have to use these, but just you can use these as a reference point. The remainder of these files are all entirely the Bamboo specs. So you can see in here, replace the primary user, replace some keys in there, and all the way down the line. So, including stack names and everything else. So this is a great launching point. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and open up this directory and open it up over here. It's fine. So I can take a look at that. And I'm going to go over here and I'll open up this directory. I'm going to copy in those Bamboo specs. So I'm going to just say, hey, take this entire directory here and copy that over, one of these. There we go. And looks like I don't have a CI file, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this CI file over. Everything else I'll kind of just take a look at. So let's see. So this is now my Nginx proxy config, and I've got the Bamboo specs in here. Oh, I forgot to copy over. There's also another directory that I've set up called CI scripts, and I'll show you what's going on with that as well. I'll just copy that over. And so now the Bamboo specs are here and the CI scripts are here. So in the CI scripts, I've got a build service sh file, and it's pretty basic. I've got some code in here some script lines that are in here that are commented out. And I've also got some defaults in here, so you can actually execute this locally to test this out. Now, I did not set up the project yet in DTR, so I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. If you recall, if I go back to deploy, it was like I'm looking for my service name. I know it's an Nginx proxy underscore proxy. So I'll just go ahead and set that up now. So if I hop over to DTR, it's loading opportunity. And again, you'll need to reach out to one of the admins in order to set this up. And if you are an admin, this is a reminder that if you come in here and you don't have the links to administer, remember to click the next button, and then you get like the options to administer. It's the hack for the UI bug for now. But you go in, the quickest way is to go into the actual Bamboo GUI Docker user and go to the repositories, click on the new repository, and select new repository here, enter that, and give it that proxy name. Oh yeah, it's in the stack, Docker stack. So I could have copied it from here. So except I didn't bring that one over. So it's this guy here. So I could just take that guy over, bring it over here, paste that in. I need to make sure that I give this user read-write access. This is going to be the Bamboo user, right? So I save this. This is going to do two things. It's going to create the repository in DTR as well as permission it for the Bamboo GUI Docker user. So that's set up. I can leave DTR and I can come back over to my Nginx proxy here. And we should be able to test this out. So if I look through here, I've got defaults in here. So I've got my Docker Compose CI. It's really basic. It says I'm going to build the current working directory. So that's assuming your Docker files here. It's going to push it here. And I thought that I default the version to test if it's not set, just so we set this up. And I had pumped in a couple of environment variables, just for examples for folks, but there's nothing there. So let's go ahead and say let's do an sh CI scripts build service. And so the way I have this set up for the local is I've got a hook in here that if a DTR password's not supplied, then it's going to prompt for the password. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. That's just your LDAP password. Mine is, just ABC123. So that's building and pushing. There's no tests here. I didn't do any tests. I don't think I had any tests in this guy anyway. And this is just a really small project here. And I can pop back over. I guess I closed DTR, but I can pop back over into DTR, and I can double check that this push the tag and everything for us. So let me do a search for Nginx. So I've got the GUI Nginx proxy, and I can double check here the tags, and I see the test here. So that's good. That was just a push by me 23 seconds to go. So service works. I know that step should work. And now I've got the CI variables here as well. Normally this was at the root. This is now included in the CI scripts here for us. And I've got the default in here as being a date version. So if you're not going to use, if you're using versions like POM or something else, make sure to update that. But otherwise, this is just going to use date version. So I can go ahead and run this as well. So do CI scripts, set CI variables. I can run that, and I can just double check that that's going to work for us. That created this file here, and so it tells me the version, the branch name, build key, etc. Commit hash. Get rid of that, and then so yeah, if you were running, if you wanted to compose up and run any tests, you'd want to make sure to do that. I'm just going to be doing a build. There's a line in here. I don't know if Nate's on the call, but we found out from Tim Byrne for DTR. This is going to be a problem going forward unless we add this in. That when you do a DTR login, it logs it in at the a shared directory level. So when it runs the DTR log out, it actually logs it out for the entire host. So by doing this Docker config here, just saying, hey, put it in my current working directory or the build working directory. So that's assuming Bamboo. Otherwise, it's just going to put it in the personal working directory inside of a .docker folder, and you can see up here it actually put this in here. I can come in here and it ran the log out, so it's already out of here. But otherwise, you would see a temporary auth token in here that's used for the DTR login. But otherwise, yeah. So that's in there for you as well. So the build, the CI variables should be all set up. And the last thing is the stack deploy. Now the stack deploy, I have not set this up to be able to be run locally. This assumes this is something I still want to work on and figure out how we can do this. But the challenge here is we don't want to be deploying remotely. So I think, yeah, so yeah, this one doesn't have it in here at all. I was playing with some options for this. This does have like an organizational pattern to it, and I did include migrations in here. If you're running migrations, you can use this. This includes all the steps in here that you would need to do. You just need to swap out your migration command. This project does not use migration, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that. I'm also not using secrets, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those as well. So those are the functions for the secrets. So right now it's pretty basic. I just have my setup bars and my stack deploy. So it's kind of overkill to put these in functions, but that's how I had organized it to help out. Looks like I'm missing something in my. I have this here, so I'm going to put that. I got to clean that up, I guess. So that's going to say my stack file is my Docker stack. So yeah, this is all it's going to do. And if you don't want to have these in the functions, that's absolutely fine. You can get rid of that and just that looks a little cleaner now. If you wanted to pipe in some defaults here, we could try deploying this locally. I suppose that wouldn't hurt. Let's go ahead and test that out. So test Bamboo ENV. Some of these I'm not using. TrafficNet I am using, so I'm going to go ahead and put in a default there. Traffic-net, traffic host. Let's call this. I'm running traffic locally, so I can do this. I'll just call this nginx .localhost. Did I spell that right? And that doesn't matter so much, but we'll just put that in. I'm not using env or node env. Probably worth checking out my stack to see what else I have in here. Oh, the one thing I do need to do is I need to clean this up. So this was not using the traffic host previously, whereas now I want it to. So let's go with the host and put that in there. Don't need the rule one there anymore. It'll just be one rule. Oh, oops, I copied the wrong variable. This is supposed to be traffic host here. Okay. And then TrafficNet. So this project hasn't been updated in a while. This should actually be TrafficNet admin. So this is just a reminder, if you're still using regular TrafficNet, you should be on the environment TrafficNets. In this case, this is something we put on the admin net. So I'm going to put that on there now. And I think everything else looks right. I need to swap this out, put in the DTR route there into my stack. Let's see that. And I should be able to test this out locally, I believe. Since this is not set, it's just going to be my local and stack files. They're defined there. That's got a default now. That's got a default. That's got a default. So I can run this as well. Set CI scripts, stack deploy, and it should pull and deploy locally. Oh, creating service. Oh. I guess that's strange. Thought I would have seen a pull. Well, it brought it up with 2 replicas and all that fun stuff. So it pulled, it worked. So that's fine. Let me go ahead and remove that. So docker stack rm and nginx proxy. Just get rid of that. Oh. Oh, it looks like I got a dash in there. How do I get a dash in there? That's strange. Whoops. How did I get a dash in the stack name? Somewhere. Okay. Oops. Right there. Stack name. Oh, yeah, I don't have an environment. So yeah, so this one's just going to be an Nginx proxy. But good thing. A good thing I tested it out. I would have screwed up the deployment there. So that help catch that and fix that. So yeah, this one's again one of those special cases. I put it on the admin net, and I'm not putting the environment there because it's only deployed once in the pre-prod and once in the prod. It's not like we're deploying integration stage, QA, and all these other environments. So that's it. So I think I'm all set. There's a few things that you saw. I don't need all those extra environments. So let me just double check. So what I have in here is in the plan. You notice I didn't actually go into Bamboo specs at all after doing the template. Most of this is already set up. So it has like a build artifact stage. It has a build service stage. And those are defined as the jobs here. These remotely call these scripts. Now in this case, I am not bringing up the service, so I don't need to call the compose down, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that. The last up there is the clean working directory, and that's fine. The build artifacts, this is going to look for Docker stacks, CI variables. And this is a new addition. This is important. This is going to copy in the CI scripts here because we're going to need the stack deploy for the deployment. So that's copied in as an artifact as well. So the build job is all entirely done. The deployment, I can clean this up. This has stage and production. Oh, I guess I didn't even put the integration in there. But I did have an integration here. I can delete that. So I guess I got to clean up the specs template a little bit still. In here, I don't need these secrets because I wasn't using those. But you can see here it automatically piped in my environment variables that I was expecting. So my environment stage, node-env, I actually got rid of those from the stack deploy. So the env and node-env, so I'm not actually using those. I threw those in there in case people wanted to use those. I'm just using the traffic net and the traffic net host, so that's all I need. So I'll get rid of everything else. And so you saw when I put in networking env, that piped in the UII for everything. So this is all set up as well. And both the dev and the prod. Oh, sorry, I put in the wrong environment. This was supposed to be UIZ. So I actually need to do a global find and replace for UII to UIZ. So that's the stage and prod. Yeah, okay, I'm going to do that. Okay, yeah, I did the wrong environment. So that's the stage and that, and so normally you'd have to come in here and double check the tasks, but the tasks again are all set up in the stack deploy. So everything you need to do, everything that the actual build is doing is really in the CI scripts now. There are the environment variables still, and I'm debating on how, if I want to extract that, so it's outside the build, but TBD. And then again, if you wanted to add further users, right now I just put in the single account, and that's what gets piped in everywhere. It also is defaulted to use, this is the group for the change control team, so they would have access to the prod build. So that's by default for everybody. So last step is to actually set up, I didn't go into Bamboo yet, so the last step is to actually set this up in Bamboo. So I'm going to go ahead and do a git checkout dash b, and I'll call this Bamboo specs. And let's just double check what's in here. It's got my Docker Compose CI. It's going to build the local and push it there. The Docker stack. I I guess I didn't exclude this file, so let me update my git ignore. Get rid of that, so I'm going to just change this to Docker. Okay, so that's ignored now, and then I got all the specs files and then 3 CI scripts. So just add this, and we'll call this a specs script. Odds are I won't get this right on the first try, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so this pushed, and it's ready to set it up in Bamboo. We've got the specs here. I got it in a specs branch. So I'm going to hop over to Bamboo with 2 minutes left of the official meeting. Let's see if I can knock this out. So come in here. I'm going to do a create plan. And let's see. Let me pop this open like this. And I should be getting the spaces. No, come on, spaces. Really? I guess it's not going to work with the screen sharing. Okay, let's do that. And here, I need the configuration that I set up here. So I'm going to hop out of full screen mode and put this over here. There we go. Okay. So the project key. The project key I put in is API, so I'm going to search for the API and just select that guy. The plan name is going to be exactly what I put in here, and that's the Nginx proxy spec. The plan key that I put in was the Ngx right there, and I'm going to set up a new linked repository, and it's going to be Bitbucket Stash, and the repository is going to be Nginx proxy. So there it is there, API Nginx proxy. I like to do the convention of just doing it very similar to the repository name. So I just do I replace it with a dash there. So Nginx dash proxy. The branch that I put in, I just pushed the Bamboo specs. So I'm going to say, go ahead and configure that. And this is going to pop open. I have to click save. Next, I'm going to create the deployment plan, and I can do that straight from this link here. What's nice about doing that is it automatically selects the build plan for you, so I don't even have to do that. Again, I put the same name there, so I can just go ahead and pop that in there. And that's already selected. It's going to use the main plan branch, Bamboo specs, so I can create that. And lastly, I need to say, hey, I need to set these up as specs repositories. So I got to do two. I got to do both the build and the deploy. So the build, I'm going to come in here and say the build project was an API project, and the linked repository was the Nginx repository we just created. So we'll do that. And somewhere on this page is a button. There it is. And then I have to do the set up specs repository for the deploy. And that one is also Nginx. So Nginx proxy spec. And again, it's going to be the Nginx and confirm. And we should be able to double check that that's there, and it might auto build and deploy for us. Let's find that guy, Nginx proxy spec. So we got green light. That's good. It did not build. So sometimes if you wait 3 minutes, it'll build. I think that's what we have as the default value there. But I'm going to go ahead and trigger it. And so this ran really fast. It's not doing much except for a quick build, and it's building from an Alpine image, so it's real lightweight. You can check the logs if you need to double check anything. And then you also have the artifacts, so everything's in here. You copy the Docker stacks, which is just the one file, the CI variables, and the CI scripts. So it was supposed to auto deploy, I think. Let me double check what I had set up in there. And specs, deploy, environment, stage. No, it was in the integration. Let me go ahead and copy that over because I want it to auto build. and in there inside the integration, there was the triggers there, stage success, build. So when there's a successful build, and really that's a successful build and master. It doesn't trigger unless it's the main plan branch. In this case, it's going to be the, not master, it's going to be the bamboo specs. So I'm going to go ahead and say, this is the stage. Let me go and add this in. Call this the stage trigger. Push that. And this should auto build for us fairly quickly. I'll trigger it. I'm impatient. Oh, it's already building. Okay. All right, so go into the, click too many times. There we go. Okay, so it built and it was successful and it triggered automatically triggered the deploy. It deployed a stage. So that was it. That was setting up bamboo specs, setting up DTR, and yeah, everything all in one. And it worked the first time. So cheers.
Woohoo!
Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and stop that recording. It says I was recording for 48 minutes. How's that even possible? We just started at 3:30. Dude, Teams, your timer is like going way fast. All right, stopping that.
Yeah.
It's gonna play it back in like slow motion. This is how you do bamboo specs.
Sorry.
So I know I kind of flew through that, but questions from anyone? Anybody tried? Who's tried bamboo specs? I want to hear some audience participation. I'm going to start calling.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Who else?
He knows. He knows.
I tried it. It caught fire though and burnt to the ground.
So, does this project look like it'll be helpful for you?
I'm gonna just go ahead and dust away what I had before and take another swing at it with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
It seems like there's been some changes in the process, so it's probably just better to start again.
Yeah. Yeah, it should help. And yeah, just finding some better organization of the code and the files and everything. So. Jeff Yang, I don't think he's on the call. I don't see him on the call, but he's kind of tested it out earlier this week with the campaigns gateway. So we'll see how. I think that's going well for him. But yeah, I'm open to feedback if anybody else wants to try out this repo. Let me go ahead and to the repository. So you clone that if you want.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to be the first to try it because if I fail it again, I'm gonna think there's something wrong with me.
You won't be the first; you'll be the second. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
Jeff Yang's already done it.
All right.
Yeah, and he said there's no problem. He got the gateway up and running, and it's all good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm
Good.
yeah, you can hear him. That's good. You know what I couldn't believe? Jeff Yang opened up. He was screen sharing, and his default IDE is VI. Who uses VI as their default IDE? I know that some people do.
4 years ago,
I
I
use it.
used it as my default ID.
That's rough.
Actually, no, it was probably more like 5 or so years ago. It's back when I was doing Perl.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that language.
Tom used to use VI as his editor, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if did he ever switch to I think maybe he was using IntelliJ. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I pretty much only use it at this point if I'm already on the shell and I don't want to go through the trouble of loading something up in Sublime, because you have an open file, go click around. It's just easier to just fire it in and go.
Yeah.
You know, VI is terrible, but VIM is improved.
Is that what you use?
No, I'm with Ted. I did in the past, but yeah, I'm
Yeah,
in
sounds really
IntelliJ.
good.
Actually, default is VIM. It's not the which 7 when currently it's VIM.
We're taking up.
That's what happens when you edit with VI.